It's showtime, folks. Welcome to Chase and Big Joe, 105, 106.3 The Game. Here on this Thursday, we're live at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes. Big Joe is here. I'm here. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier, back at the studio. What's up, Joe?
Oh, man, it's a beautiful, wonderful, fantastic day. Get up, be thankful for three things in your life, get your mind flowing in a positive way, and the rest is beautiful after that, man. Every day.
Your radio announcer voice kind of came out there like,
Did it really?
Positive.
Yeah, a positive day today.
102.5.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Did you ever see that Jimmy Fallon skit when he did that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, it was fantastic.
Well, you're fantastic.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, buddy.
But yeah, we are at Kitchen Notes here at the Omni Nashville Hotel, our home away from home. Every Thursday, we always enjoy coming here, and Todd Rodemel, our buddy, just stopped by and said hello, so always good to see him. He's doing a fantastic job here at Kitchen Notes, but we'll be leaving here in a couple hours and headed to Chicago with the Nashville Predators, so looking forward to that.
I'm excited. So that out of the gate, I want to throw our question out there. We did this a year ago, and I'm going to ask again. It's very simple. Aisle seat, window seat. Which do you prefer when you fly? Aisle seat, and I need to hear from our great listeners today, 615-737-1025. Aisle seat, window seat. Chase McCabe, what say you?
So it used to be window. Even as big as I am, I would just crawl to the window, but I'm finally kind of shifting to the aisle. So,
was there some certain moment that made you do that?
No, I just realized that I'm too freaking tall to be crawling over people to get to the window seat. It's like I just have to let that dream go.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Unless it's the one like on Southwest where I call it the tall man seat that doesn't have the seat in front of it, then I'll go to window.
Okay, I'm forever the window guy. I can't.
Yeah, I like looking out. And all that
yeah, and then obviously when I do the aisle seat and I want to look out, I have the passenger in the window seat who pulls the shade down.
Yeah,
and you can't see anything.
I usually have them kicked off, like ahead of time.
You should.
I say, look, you're gonna have to go.
So
they get really confused, and then they start dying.
Well, we got our seat assignments, and I get the window today.
You do.
I'm really excited about
this. I'm trying to get you moved next to Willie. So
they're behind us.
Yeah, I know, but I think the sports revolution needs a reunion.
And I think, and Chris Mason's behind you.
Yeah.
And you know, Chris Mason's one of my all-time favorite athletes. I might just go sit in his lap and have story time.
We'll see how that goes.
Once we get to a decent altitude, I'll just go do that. But I'm just curious what people want because you shifted. You know, you were window, and
I prefer a window.
Yeah,
but it's just logistically, it's like
Could you imagine flying on those 747s that have like your own pod?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Would that not be just perfect?
Just give me a bed and just sleep
the whole time, man.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Awesome. See, I've never done an international flight, so like across the ocean and everything. So I know those are bigger, and you have like a little more room,
right?
You want to stretch out and everything. So I've never done that, but yeah, it'd be cool.
You have a passport, right?
I do.
I do not have a passport.
Yeah. I got my passport when I was traveling with the Preds for the playoffs, and they had to go to Winnipeg.
Oh, so recently?
Yeah, I mean it's been
6-7 years.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll probably need to renew it here in about 3 years.
God, that was 2018, that Winnipeg series.
Yeah.
Good Lord, time flies. I don't have I got to get a passport because I'm doing a European tour later this fall.
That's cool.
Is
that your band?
Yeah. Nice. We're opening for Def Leppard and Oasis.
Nice.
So thank you. Thank you.
Is Poe going to be able to play?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. But we're sitting him by cruise liner.
Yeah.
So Queen Mary.
I know. He doesn't like to fly.
He doesn't.
Well, we're live at Omni Nashville Hotel. We got a great show planned. We'll get to answers to the question of the day coming up in a few minutes. But a lot of different things we're going to hit today. WWE Monday Night Raw coming to Nashville at Bridgestone Arena this Monday. One of the performers you will see is Lyra Valkyria. She is the Women's Intercontinental Champion. She'll join us at 9:45. So looking forward to that. Greg Wyshynski from ESPN at 10 o'clock. That is going to be his new time every Thursday. And then we're going to check in with old Jared Stillman at 10:30. He's at Radio Row. He's been very busy this week, had a lot of great conversations. We'll kind of see what the word is down there in New Orleans with Stilly, as they call him on the morning show.
What is the word down there? We're going to find out,
I
right?
don't know. We're going to find out. New Orleans. Hey, look, that's a place that if you and I were down there, we'd have to watch out.
Did you have you been to Radio Row Super Bowl? I've never have.
No.
Okay.
That's actually the one thing I don't think I've done in my career.
When we've done SEC Media Days, right?
We've done SEC Media Days.
You know, and they come around. I'll never forget. Years ago we were down there, and they come around Radio Row, and a lady comes up and says, "Hey, I've got a cook here, a lady, and that she'd like to talk about some sweet desserts that you can bake in your kitchen." And it's just, and then here's the worst part: the lady that's pitching is right there, and the cook, the lady, is next to her. So what do you say?
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, sure.
Well, here's what's funny. So I'm getting all these emails of like people wanting to come on. Hey, we're at Radio Row, and I've been doing what any good American would do. I've been passing them off to Jared, so I don't have to deal with it because he's the one that's there.
Yeah, that's great.
Which he in turn is ignoring some of these, and then I'm getting follow-ups. But it's like it's kind of, how do some of these people get this access? Like it's the Super Bowl,
right?
And you're pitching a book not about sports. Like if it was about sports, okay, but like it'd be like you going on a book tour, like, hey, I'm gonna go Radio Row. Actually, we should set that up next year.
Let's go down there
and just have you do I'll be your publicist.
Yeah,
that's how we go. I'll be your publicist, and you go and we'll get you on all these radio stations to talk about your books.
Yeah, I mean it's like, and I'll be right there next to you, and then I'll just go ahead and sit down. I'm like, let's do this. But I was just like, they come by, and you're like, what are you gonna do? I mean, you just talk to them. It's so weird to say no to them when they're right there in front of you. And always, that's what I tell people: when you want something, don't text, don't email, face to face, because people will be like,
because they can't tell you no.
You're here. Am I just going?
I know. I've been in that situation before, and like the first time I went to one, you're getting the lecture of like, now you got to stick to the content and all that stuff, and it's like some guy wants to talk about a book that doesn't matter.
Right. I told you I did a thing with Barry Sanders when I was at Channel 2, a satellite interview from Radio Row, and he was pitching Pizza Hut and MasterCard, and he got him mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
So our thing was I was like, so tell me about MasterCard. He's like, well, at Pizza Hut, you can get this deal during Super Bowl Sunday. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And then it was over with. They call back and say, hey, can we do this again? It was live. Yeah. I said, can we do this again? He messed up the script. I'm like, we've moved on. What do you can't tape it again? I'm like, it's all live.
Yeah.
So they get all the confusion there, but it was absolutely an awful interview with Barry Sanders.
Oh, that's hilarious, actually. 615-737, our question of the day. Adam in Portland literally called in right as you asked this. So I'll let him. I mean, Adam, do you work? I'll let you lead this off. What's your answer?
It's crappy to say, do you work? Because I listen to you guys like you're my radio. You know what I'm saying? Like
I know. Like you listen all the time, and we appreciate it.
I'm 4 hours from the house and listening to you on the app, dude. No, look. So this is the deal. I'm 38. I've never flown before, and I flew for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and I've had this debilitating fear my whole life, like of just being up there. And so my wife's like, yeah, do the window seat and you'll enjoy it. I did not enjoy that, not one bit, and it started kind of making me feel sick. So I got a Xanax on the way back. I sat in the aisle, and I was way better. So I guess I'm an aisle guy with a Xanax to be able to get through flying, because it wasn't bad, but I had to have that combo.
So let me ask this. I'm sorry, Chase. Let me ask you this. I am deathly afraid of heights. But I don't mind flying. Do you have that same fear or no?
No, so like my job, man, I'm an insurance adjuster, so I'm on roofs all day, every day. And I don't have one issue with that. But mine is like, if I don't like being somewhere and somebody tells me I can't get down. So like being up there and knowing that I can't get down or I can't jump out, you know what I'm saying? Like you got total control over me. That's my fear.
Okay, is that just so? When you say that you flew for the first time 2 weeks ago at 38 years old. Was some of that just because of like you didn't need to, or was it all because you just had that fear?
The debilitating fear of that right there, dude. And I was like, my wife, look, check it out. Look, my wife booked the tickets on the 1st, and I did not sleep. I promise you more than like 2 hours until I flew on like the 28th of January. So, dude, I'm telling you, it was, or no, I'm sorry, the 22nd of January. So like 3 whole weeks of not sleeping. So it was bad. But once I got up there, it was all right. But the Xanax and the aisle seat is the way to go for me, dude.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate the call. This raises a whole like different conversation because I've never had a fear of flying. Like,
Same.
but I think the first time I was on an airplane, I was probably 6 months old. And then like first time I remember, I was probably like 4. And so I've just been flying my whole life. And so it's just, I'm used to it.
Jet Setter McCabe.
Yeah, something like that. But my mom, I've told you, my mom's best friend lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that was, we went there.
Right.
And so it's never really been an issue for me. So I'm wondering, is that the trick to kind of avoid the fear of flying? Like your parents need to take you when you're really young and you're just kind of used to it?
I don't know. I mean, it could be a possibility. I just think you have to go and try to see, all right, am I scared or am I not? But, a lot of that is current times. What happened last week. We absolutely hate that. And that's just so unfortunate. But air travel, for the most part, right, it's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely safe. So I've never once been frightened, but that's me. But I get it, man. I mean, people don't want John Madden. That's how the Madden Cruiser became.
He did not like to fly.
Did not like to fly. So, it's whether you like to or not, it's no big deal. But if you don't like to fly, then don't fly.
Will you be watching the movie Airplane on the way to Chicago?
No, I like to read on a plane. I don't.
Okay.
I'm a reader, man. It's a time.
Don't talk to me the whole time, please.
Please don't fall asleep and start snoring.
I won't.
Because the pilot will be like, "What the hell's happening to our plane?"
Do you have an engine failure?
Oh
No,
my gosh.
I won't fall asleep and start snoring because I know Hal Gill will mess with me.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Hal.
Yeah.
I like this for doing that. I told you when we first time we had shared a room in Miami. I threw 2 water bottles, a remote, a hat, and something else like a phone charger, and they're all like on the floor next to your bed. I mean, I don't know. God bless your mom and dad, man. I don't know how they ever woke you up.
I think I could sleep through a tornado. I mean, it was something. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. We'll get to more of these answers coming up next. Aisle seat, window seat. That is our question of the day. Plus, we'll probably talk some sports at some point.
Well,
Chase.
There's something that came out yesterday in New Orleans where Roger Goodell and NFLPA are butting heads, and this could be something massive going forward.
I did see that. We will get to that coming up next here on Chasing Big Joe, live at the Omni Nashville Hotel, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Thursday. We're at Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. And our show is presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. We'll get back to our question of the day here in just a few minutes, but it seems that Roger Goodell and the NFLPA are ready to battle once again. And we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
The 18th game is, when they added the 17th game, and basically they just kind of gave in. You knew the 18th game was going to be around the pike. But now the NFL Players Association Executive Director Loyal Howell Jr. is pushing back. Roger Goodell said the other day that the safety data doesn't discourage expanding the regular season. And Howell says, quote, frankly, we're not sure how he's reaching that conclusion based on the data we've been given access to. He said on Wednesday, no one wants to play an 18th game. No one. 17 games is already, for many of the guys, too long. 17 games is also so lengthy that you're still dealing with injuries going into next season. So there's a variety of issues that hang off of the length of the season before any formal negotiations.
Amen. I love it. I mean, look, when he says no one wants the 18th game, then he adds no one.
Yep.
And, I haven't heard anybody who's on board for that.
I mean, look, I think if you're just not thinking about it first glance as a fan, you go, yeah, I could do another game. Like, that'd be cool. But then if you really do a deep dive and think about it, the quality of the product is already pretty bad.
Yes.
Like, the college football is much more entertaining than the NFL, but we still watch,
right?
Because it's like it's the NFL, so you're going to watch. People are going to watch this weekend. I don't think this is going to be a great game. It might be, but it's on, so we're going to watch it. My thing is when Goodell, you were making a comment during the break of Goodell saying concussions are down and all this stuff. All Goodell is a puppet for the owners.
Oh, that's it.
Everybody blames him for everything, but at the end of the day, he's speaking for the owners.
Yeah, that's it.
And really, he's speaking for probably a handful of owners that run the league. The Jerry Joneses, the Robert Krafts, I mean, the Rooneys obviously have some pull, but
let me ask you this. Who's the NFL compete with?
Nobody.
Yeah. So what are they trying to do? 18th game. Are you trying to? I don't get it. And it's like, we're cutting it to 2 preseason games. I'm telling you, you look at this now. If a team is rolling and they're like 12-3, and you got 2 games left, and you've got a playoff spot, I'd bench my star players.
Yeah.
I'd bench them.
Well,
you're tired, man.
Right. I mean, here's what's going to have to happen in my mind for them to even do that. And really they should have done this with 17, but to get to 18, what they're going to have to do is, one, add an extra off week. Every team gets 2 off weeks, which I'm totally fine with. I got no issue with that. And you're going to have to expand the rosters, not the practice squad, but the actual roster.
Right.
I think if I'm the PA, I'm pushing go from 53 to 60, because then you're guaranteeing 7 guys per team more jobs.
Easily 60.
The talent's not there. I mean, you're going to have guys and you already have it. You have guys in the NFL that probably don't deserve to be in the NFL, but you got to fill the roster.
Right.
I mean, it kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But that to me is the carrot on the stick that you could get this done, because it's going to happen. Like Charles Robinson was on Robbie and Rexford this morning talking about it's going to happen, and we all know it's going to happen. But if you're the PA, you need to stand up to the league and say, listen, we want the extra off week. We want more money. I think there's, they deserve, you're adding an extra game. So that needs to change how that plays out. And the rosters need to be expanded.
There's just, I don't, look, they're going to say we're going to drop the preseason game, make 2 preseason games, 18 regular season games.
Just get rid of the preseason. The preseason doesn't matter. I know,
well, I think you need to have it.
I think you need to have matter to guys at the bottom of the roster.
So now with 2, you got 1 at home, 1 at away. So you still get your money.
Yeah.
It's all about the money, man. That's all it is. But to say that the safety data is telling you, well, it's safe now. Well, guys are tackling different. They're getting fined when they do targeting. I mean, it's all part of the deal there. But I'm telling you, man, it's warfare. I mean, football is a violent, violent game. I've told you this. Kissing your girlfriend's a contact sport. Football is a violent sport. And you talk about safety, it'll make it, but you're adding a whole nother game. And if you don't expand the roster, you got guys playing more. It's completely asinine.
Yeah.
They keep trying to change things, and when we grew up, the Super Bowl was like the first week or second week into January. Now they've expanded into February. Now they're probably pushing back even longer than that. It's just they're trying to ruin things. And what do we do? What do we talk about? What do we don't talk about? On the field play.
Yeah, no.
Boy, some of this other garbage outside.
Well, because I can tell you something else that's going to happen too. Another team's going to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's three wild cards now. They're either going to redo the divisions or there's going to be four. Because, I mean, they're going to expand. Because that's the other thing. Like, I think they're going to have 34 teams here in a few years.
Where do they go? London's one. I'm telling you.
Probably.
And where's the other one?
Mexico City. Or maybe Canada. I mean, see, that's the thing. Like, I always thought they'd probably put a team in Toronto.
Can't do it.
But the Bills,
Can't do Vancouver.
Washington.
Seattle. It's right there.
Montreal.
Maybe.
Do people care in Montreal?
Probably not.
They lost baseball.
They did lose baseball off a team in '94 that had won the World Series if there wasn't a strike. I don't know, man. This manifest destiny that Roger Goodell has, I don't get it, man. I just don't understand. Like, I'm reading right now, the Rams were playing the first game in Australia in 2026.
Yeah.
What are we trying to do here, man? I don't get. I just don't get it.
I don't mind doing a game or two, in London or Germany or something like that. I mean, but because there's a thirst for it, apparently.
Right. But
now it's like there's this whole month that you got games that are overseas, and so, I know it raises another question. Should they bring back some form of NFL Europe as a development league, and would the product be better? Because then you have actual, NFL people that are doing,
people loved. I know guys who played in the league over there in Europe, and they loved it.
Tim Hasselbeck,
they loved it. They had no problem being over there. But again, do you put it here? Do you like the UFL or XFL, whatever it is? Do you make that your farm league?
Yeah,
but then you got guys playing all year long, man. I mean, there is. I don't know. There's no, and here's the problem. There's no right answer because we're debating it all the time.
There's no.
But at
the end of the day, like, it may not be next year, but in 2026, they're playing 18 games, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
I hope not.
I think so.
Product's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to continue to water down, but they're going to do it.
Maybe 8 teams are good
because here's what's driving this. It's all letters. CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC, ESPN, Netflix now. Like, there's other entities, Amazon.
Right.
They're going to pay for it.
What if I told you that what's the downfall of man throughout history?
Money.
Greed.
Yeah.
Everything. Just stop with it, man. It's good as it is. It's great right now, but they'll find a way to screw it up. They always do.
Here's what's funny. You said it, and Mike and Lebanon said it. I can see teams picking a away game that doesn't matter and sitting their starters. The league will stop that.
How?
They'll just say, no, you're not. You can't do that.
I can do whatever. My team can do whatever I want. They're going to find you. Okay.
Yeah. Well.
But I'm not playing. If I'm 12-3 and I'm Patrick Mahomes and the Raiders are 9-6, right, and I'm not playing you.
Justin and Greenbrier are guys. The season is too long as it is. All they're doing is watering down the product. I agree with you, Justin. But again, like, are you not going to watch? You want to change something, quit watching the NFL.
I'm not watching a team that's benching their quarterback and they're 12-3 playing. That's why I've told you, Major League Baseball should end at Labor Day.
I agree.
I'm not watching the Cardinals take on the Marlins when both teams are 38 games out of first place. Yeah. Stupid. End it on Labor Day.
Look, it's
God, September baseball is so awful.
NASCAR should end at Labor Day. I mean, like, there's a ton of, like, you could have it where there's always a sport going on and, like, some overlap is okay. But when you get into fall, like, that's football. Just get out of the way.
So the NASCAR, February, March, April, May, June, July, August,
September.
8 months.
October.
I mean, if you stop at Labor Day.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. The whole thing is
They're off for a month, essentially.
quick story. A friend of mine wanted to open a bar or restaurant, okay?
Yeah.
Massive building, and he bought it, right? So you get 300 people in there, a building that holds 800 people. You drive by, it's empty,
Yeah.
right? So what does he do? He buys another restaurant place, only holds 225 people. Now you have 100 people in line
Yes.
getting in.
Right.
And you're like, God, I want to be part of that.
Perception is reality.
Yeah. So if you keep moving this stuff, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be, I'm not excited by that. And so I'm not a businessman, but I'm not stupid per se. And I just don't think this is a good thing. But again, they're not going to listen to us, and they'll have 18 games and they'll bitch why people are getting hurt.
It's funny that there's such a mixed reaction to this. 615-737-1025. We're live at the Omni Nashville Hotel. At Kitchen Notes today, Dr. Crane is back at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. Over the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We'll continue this discussion and get back to our question of the day as well. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% happening. And like I sat in the NFLPA's meeting yesterday and listened to the whole, Lloyd Howell go through the whole song and dance of, nobody wants to play an 18th. Everybody, every player I talked to, nobody wants to play. Jalen Reeves-Mavens, the president of the NFLPA, I mean, they're all saying the same thing. And I'm like, okay, there's a difference between nobody wants to play it and we absolutely are not going to play it. And That's just where this is. The funny thing is when they say nobody wants to play it, then Lloyd Howell will go through 14 bullet points of that. It's his negotiating list. It's like, here are all the things we need to talk about. And then after these 15 things, then we get to revenue share. I'm like, okay, well, that's what you got 5 years and until the next CBA. And I think Roger would like to get it on the rails earlier than that and see if maybe they could expand the season maybe by 2027.
That was Charles Robinson earlier this morning on Robbie and Rexroad from Yahoo Sports. Back here on Chasing Big Joe at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes. Talking about expansion of the season for the NFL. 17 to 18 games. We saw them go to 17 a few years ago, and now the talk is 18 games. The PA is saying that no one wants to play 18 games, and Goodell's saying, oh, safety's fine. Just rub some dirt on it. Everything's good. Everybody will be fine. And that was, I didn't know that Jalen Reeves-Maybin is the player president of the Players Association.
Let's have a little respect on that guy's name, huh?
Yeah, so that's a interesting one. But look, I think this is going to happen, and we can all not like it, but it's going to happen.
But don't the players got to vote on it?
They do, but my thing is they need to get something out of it. The owners want this, then the players need to get something out of it too. Tommy says NFL should leave it alone. Mid-February, I'm watching the Napa 9, Chase Elliott. If Super Bowl interferes with the 500, it's an easy choice if Titans aren't in the Super Bowl. I mean, yeah. But here's the thing. The Daytona 500 is, President's Day weekend.
Right.
And that's historically, where it's been for a long time. If they add the 18th game, especially if they're adding an extra bye week, that's 2 weeks to the schedule. The Super Bowl is going to be around then.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard people say, well, run the 500 on Saturday. No, it's Sunday. Honestly, the Super Bowl should be Saturday night, I think. But, Super Bowl Sunday there's pageantry and everything that goes into it. It takes up the whole day.
They don't care.
The pregame show is 8 hours long.
Mm-hmm. Fine. That's good.
So
I had no problem with Super Bowl Sunday. I think it's great. I just think, again, this is all going to be, it's a watered down product for the most part, as I just tweeted out. There's about 8 good teams in the NFL. The rest are blah, that go on. And so they're going to move it, but do you move the season back? And look, it's, what they're going to do to really chafe me is NFL is going to put games on Friday night during the regular. That's going to they're going to stay away from Saturday because that's college football during the season. But they're going to start doing Friday night because they don't care. And that's really sad. That's really, really sad.
Well, they already took Thursday. Thursday used to be college football too, and they took that away.
Yep, they sure did.
So
I don't get it. It's popular right now. It's doing great, and they just want to keep adding. It's like a consultant when I worked in TV. This is going great. Oh, let's do this now. Then we're doing this. Let's do that. And it ruined everything. They just know how to ruin things. And they'll but football's so popular and people watch. Yeah, I get all that stuff. But man, this is the outside stuff now creeping in. Just makes me not want to watch.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. I hear you. I do. But I think there's a lot of people that kind of feel that way. But Wes in Clarksville asked, are they not eliminated in preseason game? It's pointless to have 3. Yeah, they would go down to 2. So I guess, yeah, you're right. But, I still think you need to add the extra bye week. 3337 says, I don't care either way, but it sure would have been miserable around here this year for an 18th game.
Right.
We would have let Eddie and TSU play in place of the Titans.
Right. It's too much, man.
Let's see. Justin and Greenbrier. I didn't watch most of this season because the Titans were trash. They aren't grading high. Really the only team I watch. I will watch the game Sunday, but I only watch 2 playoff games. I just don't care about it if my team isn't in it. I hear you, and I know that you're not the only one that thinks that way, but I do think that's the minority. I just think there are people that it's like they live and breathe football, and they live and breathe the NFL, and they're going to watch whatever game is on. And I'm kind of that way. Especially if it's prime time, like Sundays, and it kind of works out most of the time. The Titans will play at noon. The Cowboys a lot of times play the 3:30 game, and I'll watch them, and then I'll watch the Sunday night game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's fine with all that. But I know some people, like, you'll watch the Super Bowl. People saying, I'm not watching. You'll watch the Super Bowl. So stop saying all that nonsense that goes on with that. But again, I mean, you just stretch it out. That's probably like college football back in the day, right? It was September to late November. It came fast. We loved it. We relished every second of it. And now it's just spread out all the way to late January. And it's just like, oh, my goodness. And it kind of takes away from certain things that you like.
Okay, so I obviously wasn't around, but it's felt like in people that 14 games was almost too few. 18 is going to be too many. Was 16 just the perfect? Like,
I thought 16 was great. To me, 14 was fine.
yeah,
But that was a long time ago. Then they went to 16 and everybody enjoyed that. And then, we know the preseason is terrible and we get all that. And so it was a thing like I had the 4 preseason, the 16 games and the 20, and with the open week, it's 21 weeks of football that's going on. And now it's just like all time, and it's just so convoluted and it's so chaotic and everything that goes on with it. And again, we're not talking about what's happening on the field.
no,
It just drives me crazy with all that. But again, that's the whole thing that we had the argument about the asterisk, right?
mm-hmm.
And I do think there needs to be an asterisk when you talk about 14, 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah.
There does. O.J. Simpson's 2,003 yards in 1973 in 14 games, to me, is far greater than Eric Dickerson's 2,104 in 1984 in 16 games.
Yeah, well,
That's just me, and that's
sure.
the thing.
I mean, I think there's an argument for that. We'll continue this discussion real quick. Scott wants to weigh in on our question of the day: aisle seat or window seat? Scott, what say you?
Window seat's easy. Nobody's going to be bumping into you on the aisle. Most of the flights I've taken have been about 20 to 23 hours overseas.
Good
You sit in
Lord.
the aisle, you're getting bumped by the carts. You're getting bumped by people going to the bathroom, people that do not bathe walking by you. If you're at the window, you can put your head on the side and just relax.
That's a good point.
So when the cart hits
Also,
you, do you cuss? Do you yell? Or are you like, oh, good?
I just look at them and ask for something else. They feel bad, so they always gave me more snacks.
So that's the
also,
secret.
you're
Okay.
missing the best seat. The best seat is always the exit row because you get more leg room, more space. Nobody's bothering you at all, and nobody ever wants to take that seat.
But don't they come by and ask you questions in an emergency? Are you willing to help?
Yeah. Do you have to give a verbal yes or no?
Then they just tell them, yeah, I'm here. Okay, I'll open the door if you need me to. And then they go on about your day, and you got your legs to sprawl out. You don't got somebody leaning their chair back right into your lap.
Yep.
Scott, what do you do to travel so much? I was asking.
At the time, I was an overseas contractor, so I would fly over to Kuwait or Afghanistan to work on military bases. And then 2 of the other flights were with the military on deployment. And the best plane you'll ever want to never be on is the C-130 doing combat takeoffs and landing.
Why?
Wow.
Combat takeoff, you go straight to elevation within 30 minutes. So it's a straight steep climb, not a gradual.
I've done that before.
Oh,
it's with the NSC 130. It was with the Blue Angels. They have Fat Albert there.
Yeah.
And I did that one time. It was cool.
Did you throw up?
Almost, but no.
Yeah.
I did not. Thanks for the call, Scott. Appreciate it.
Y'all take care.
WWE Monday Night Raw coming to Nashville this Monday at Bridgestone Arena. One of the superstars that will be in action is the Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria. She will join us coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. WWE Monday Night Raw will be at Bridgestone Arena this Monday, live on Netflix. Lyra Valkyria, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, will be in action in a Elimination Chamber qualifying match against Bayley. She joins us now on the program. Lyra, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I am great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. Excited to see you in action Monday night. I got to start with, the Netflix era, which we saw debut, several weeks ago now. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know if much has changed for you all as superstars, but what's it been like to this point?
It's been absolutely insane. Everyone has been so excited. Raw is on Netflix. Like, that is just insane, and this Monday coming to the whole world live from Netflix, live from Nashville. We're all really, really excited to head back there. I've got a massive qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber, taking on, WWE's Grand Slam champion, one of the most decorated women in the WWE, Bayley. We've got another Elimination Chamber qualifying match. We've got Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. I think this is a massive, massive show. And, to kick off the road to Elimination Chamber, which is the road to WrestleMania, I hope Nashville is as excited as I am.
We are. That is for sure. You are the Women's Intercontinental Champion. You defeated Dakota Kai for that title and became the first Women's Intercontinental Champion. How special is it to be the first woman to hold that title?
It's so, so special. I couldn't have imagined doing this so quickly in my career. No matter what happens now, I will always be the first ever. That's my little piece of history in the WWE that I have carved out. And I'm on a mission now to do that title justice and bring everyone the best matches and the best of me that I possibly can.
Lyra, I got a question for you. We have hard-hitting questions on this show, so buckle in. When you fly, aisle seat or window seat?
Aisle seat, 100% of the time. Can't do a window.
Why is that?
Just the freedom to move around. It's so much more comfortable. If you get the odd elbow from the cart every now and then, it's not too bad. It's worth it.
That's a great answer. I'm always fascinated by women who get into professional wrestling. What was the genesis for you to become a professional wrestler?
I got into it from my brother watching it, and then I saw Becky Lynch debut in NXT, and I just had to figure out how an Irish girl ended up over here. Like, she couldn't have just spawned in the US, I knew she had to learn it from somewhere. So I got into looking up training schools, figured out that Finn Balor, another legend from Ireland, had started a school 2 hours from me, and it all went from there.
I think I'm telling you, your story is so beautiful, Lyra, because a lot of people want to do things in life, but they don't get off their ass. And you did this. You're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. So I applaud you for doing this, because so many people are stuck in neutral, and you wanted to do this. And that's a great story that you have, Lyra.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Lyra Valkyria is joining us here on the program. WWE Raw coming to Nashville Monday night at Bridgestone Arena. You mentioned Becky Lynch, but there's now, kind of become a long lineage of Irish wrestlers. Sheamus, who we claim he lives here in Nashville, is obviously one of them. Was there anyone in particular other than Becky that you kind of looked up to when you got into this?
Yeah, Becky and Balor had long since left. We're already, becoming superstars over here. JD McDonough, he's another big superstar to come from Ireland, and he was actually still kind of performing around Europe and Ireland, and was around a lot. So I got to see his mentality, his the work he would put in, and he's always been a big help to me as well.
So you've been on the main roster for, I guess, almost a year now. You were NXT champion. Now you're the Intercontinental champion. What has this journey been like? Because you've accomplished a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it hasn't even been a year. I got drafted to Monday Night Raw in May. That was a huge, huge shock for me, because I didn't spend that long in NXT. So that was insane. And I feel like everything since then has just been trying to keep up. Like, I was launched straight into the fires with the women's tournament, the Queen of the Ring. Went all the way to Saudi Arabia in my first month on Monday Night Raw. And, you know, it just feels like the platform keeps getting bigger. The opportunities keep getting bigger. And I just got to be prepared to handle it and just give best every single time.
Women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria joining us here on Chasing Big Joe.
First of all, Lyra, you have the same birthday as my granddaughter does, so I already love you. So that's so thank you. That's great for that. When you first started doing this, when did you know that this is it? Like, this is what you want to do? Was it a certain moment? Was it a certain crowd reaction? Was it 50,000 people screaming your name? Can you go back to one moment where, like, oh my gosh, this is it?
I can, actually. And it's weird you asked that question. And it's going to sound very cheesy, but genuinely, day one of training, I had no idea what to expect from a training session. I had no idea, like, what happens and in the ins and outs of behind the scenes of wrestling, how it comes together. But I tried something one day, you know, like, feeling like if it didn't work out, if I made a massive fool of myself, I'd walk away and never try it again. But that one day of training, especially when it came around at a time where I was a bit lost in school, didn't know what I wanted to do after school, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at all. But that for one training session that I had, it really did make me go, this is it. This is what I want to do. No matter how it ends up, good or bad, this is it. And I'm sticking with this.
Oh, I love it. What's your advice to the other Lyras out there who are 16, 17, 18 years old, who want to do this, and everybody's telling them, no, 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 no? What do you tell them?
My advice is, I think we're in an era where it's really cool to look unbothered and to not try. You don't want to look like you're trying too hard at anything. Whereas, like, that was the biggest difference from hanging around the cool kids in school for me to when I went to a wrestling training school. It was just a different vibe. People really respect and admire when you actually try something and put yourself out there and you're not afraid to be crap, to be bad at something, you know? So no one starts off getting everything straight away. No one does. I think people have to be prepared to just go out, make a fool of themselves, and do the same thing over and over and over again, no matter how long. Fall in love with the process and the journey, not what you hope to get on the other side of it, and just do your best. And I think you'll end up on top.
I love it. It's the whole mantra of don't quit. Don't ever quit. Don't ever quit what you're doing. Lyra, have you ever been to Nashville?
I have. We went to Nashville for a big PLE with NXT. I didn't get to do much exploring because I had such a big matchup, but I did walk past every bar on Broadway, and it was so exciting. I feel like every bar there was like live music to be seen. There's just like such a great energy there. Probably one of my favorite places that I've been to in the US. So I'm really, really excited for this Monday.
Well, I hope you get a little more time to kind of check things out. You know, where Bridgestone Arena is. It's awesome. We're really looking forward to Monday night. Good luck against Bayley. I know it's going to be a test, but we're all pushing for you, and we'll see you Monday night.
Thank you so much to anyone listening. There are still a limited number of tickets left on Ticketmaster, starting from $30. So I'll see you all Monday in Nashville.
Awesome. Thank you, Lyra.
Thank you, guys.
Lyra Valkyria, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, joining us here on the show. And yes, there are limited tickets. You can go to the Bridgestone Arena box office, Ticketmaster.com. Get that. I'm going to be there. Really looking forward to it. The first time that Raw has been in Nashville since moving to Netflix. So this will be really cool to see. And Lyra will be in action against Bayley. Should be a fantastic match. And also Logan Paul against Rey Mysterio.
She's engaged to LJ Cleary.
Mm-hmm.
Could you beat him up?
I'd probably not.
I don't know.
Anybody with professional wrestling training,
he doesn't look. He's 5'10", 195 pounds.
My strategy would be like Homer when he became a boxer.
Right.
I would just like let them tire themselves out.
I'll train you, man.
Take the beating.
We got 3 days to get in shape. I'll train you. Take this guy down.
There was one time that our buddy John Burton with News Channel 5 is a trained professional wrestler.
Yes.
and we were in a bar on Broadway, and he's like, I'm going to teach you how to tie up. And so we tied up, and all of a sudden security walks
Oh
over.
my gosh.
It's like, you guys cool? Like, yeah, no, we're just we're just messing around. So so we know a few people that could probably give us some training.
Yeah. You got 3 days, Chase.
Yeah, I got this. We'll be
Take him down.
Coming up next, Greg Wyshynski going to join us from ESPN. We'll talk some hockey with him here on the Chasing Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game on this Thursday, live at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes. We move from the Women's Intercontinental Champion in Lyra Valkyria to a champion of hockey. Greg Wyshynski joins us now from ESPN here on the program. He is presented by Old National Bank. Get old. What's up, Greg?
The first, I believe, women's intercontinental champion in WWE.
That is correct. That's correct.
Exciting. I mean, that's dope. Yeah, the women's rumble was pretty obvious that Charlotte Flair was going to win. I think from the moment she declared.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I mean, that kind of gives you what you're looking for out of a WrestleMania match, probably. So I'm okay with it.
It's got to be her versus Tiffany, right?
Oh, I think that's definitely where it's probably headed with, the legacy and the history on Charlotte's side, and chasing her dad's record, I think too, is part of it as well. So it'll be fun. I'm still extremely confused and intrigued what they're doing with Jey Uso, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, for sure. Rob will be at Bridgestone Arena Monday night, so we're looking forward to seeing what happens there. The NHL will be moving into its break for a lot of people, but the Four Nations Face-Off tournament will get underway next week. I got to tell you, I'm intrigued by this. I know it's not going to replicate the Olympics, and I know that's probably not what they're looking for, but I do think these are obviously the 4 best teams in the world, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see these players compete.
Well, let's caveat that by saying it's the 4 best teams in the world that can actually compete in an international tournament at this point.
Well, okay, that's fair.
our friends and our former friends, I guess, in Russia would probably say that they're probably as good as Sweden and probably better than Finland at this point.
See, I was just pretending they didn't exist. That's what we do.
you and the rest of the international hockey community. The ruling came down this week that Belarus and Russia are going to be banned from World Championships and World Juniors for the 25-26 season, which kind of puts their status for the 2026 Olympics in doubt. Ultimately, it's the IOC that makes that call if there'll be Russia or some version of Russia in that tournament, but it certainly lends some intrigue into what kind of best on best we'll have in the Olympics. But to get back to Four Nations, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a better quality of play in theory than the World Cup was a few years ago, because that tournament was held in September. Those boys definitely had some preseason legs in some of those games, and I think having it in the middle of the season, everybody's in really good shape, and the game should be competitive. I do, wonder how the players are approaching this. I mean, obviously, Alex Pietrangelo of the Vegas Golden Knights has already opted out, saying he'd rather have the rest, the break. You have a couple guys, Sidney Crosby, Quinn Hughes, who are battling injuries right now, and what's their status going to be for USA and Canada. So I do wonder if ultimately there'll be some decisions of guys saying, I'm too banged up, I'd rather focus on the playoff run. And the NHL seems like they're okay with it. I mean, look, they want to put on the best show that they can, but there's no penalty for guys opting out of this tournament like there is for guys opting out of the All-Star game, which kind of tells you that the NHL understands what this tournament is and understands, what the regular season is for these guys, and is willing to kind of maybe, be a little bit more understanding if certain players don't make the call for this thing.
As the NHL gets ready for the break and the trade deadline coming up in about a month, we've already kind of seen some moves happen across the league. I want to start with the JT Miller situation. I mean, is that the best outcome that you saw with him ultimately going back to the Rangers?
Probably the only outcome that I saw. They were in talks with Carolina before Carolina made the Mikko Rantanen trade. I don't ultimately know if he signs off to go to Carolina. That was never really. I don't even know if they approached him to waive, but they were negotiating to see if they could maybe find some deal they liked from Carolina. I kind of always felt it was going to be the Rangers or bust for JT Miller, and full no movement clause. They clearly in Vancouver wanted him to be the guy they moved out to hopefully have Elias Pettersson get back to being a 100-point player with the, for lack of a better term, bully in the room, shipped off to another team. I think the return they got was quickly turned around into a trade with Pittsburgh to get Marcus Pettersson. They just signed him to a long-term deal. I like him as part of their blue line. So I think everyone did pretty well. I think Pittsburgh actually did really well getting an unprotected first-round pick in 2026 potentially out of this trade that the Rangers sent to Vancouver. But the Rangers are going to be better at 5-on-5 with Miller. They're going to have a little bit more snarl, a little bit more competitive spirit with Miller. and the Vancouver Canucks hopefully get their star center to play like a star center again without the toxicity surrounding him in the locker room anymore.
We're talking to Greg Wyshynski on the Chasing Big Joe show. Greg, I'm always fascinated by trades and how they go down and all this the process of everything. For the Nashville Predators, would Barry Trotz call people or other GMs call him if they get, if this doesn't get any better in the next couple of weeks, which who knows? How does this all work? I mean, do people inquire to him or does he make the first move?
It's funny because like one of the things you always have to do is parse the language of these guys. And you'll have players that everybody assumes are on the trading block, and they'll be like, you'll have a GM say, we're not actively seeking to trade this player. Meanwhile, they're fielding every phone call from every other guy in the league to talk about that guy. But as long as they're not making the call, then plausible deniability, they are not shopping that player. I think it's a combination of both. I mean, obviously Barry, I assume is going to be aggressive in the next few months and trying to retool this team a bit. Especially in the middle of the lineup. But, you're going to have teams calling on players like Ryan O'Reilly, for example, that, see their lineup, see the need for a player like him in the middle of that lineup and try to figure out if something works. And, we've talked about O'Reilly before, I think, in our conversations. And ultimately, I like the idea of the Predators trying to run this thing back with some augmentations next season just to see if you get better results. But it's hard to deny that at his price point, and his ability and knowing that he'll be roundabouts 36 years old at the end of his deal, like it's hard to not explore the possibility. He doesn't have any trade protection. There's not a whole hell of a lot of centers available right now in this league, especially with Calgary deciding they're going to try to be a playoff team and not trading Nazem Kadri. So he might have some legit value at the deadline as a controllable contract who doesn't make a ton of money under an ever increasing salary cap.
Greg, we had a thing this week where a former Titans player was at the Super Bowl now, and he talked about how he took himself out of a game because he wasn't getting targets and didn't want to be here. Is there an instance in the NHL recently where you know a player that did that, like, this sucks, I don't want to be here anymore, take me out of here?
Not in a game necessarily, but there's definitely situations where players didn't feel like they were being used correctly in a number of games. And I'll point to a recent example, which was Pierre-Luc Dubois with the Los Angeles Kings, where, he got traded from Winnipeg to Los Angeles. He's got this huge contract and he's an utter disaster in LA, like to the point where he was one and done. They moved him to Washington in the offseason. And he's really played well this year for the Capitals. One of the reasons why they're like challenging for the best in the league. But when you heard him after leaving LA, it was a lot of sort of like, they miscast me. They asked me to play a style I wasn't good at, and they certainly weren't putting me in the situations where I could thrive, playing with the best offensive players on the team. And so it's not an ask out, but it's definitely symptomatic of maybe why things didn't work out in LA, where you have guys that just say, hey, you should give me more ice time. You should put me in better situations and I can thrive. But if you refuse to do that, then maybe it's better if we part ways.
We're talking to Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. So does Alex Ovechkin have 17 more in him this year? He's already got 25, so he's close.
I was talking with our ESPN stats and info guys, and at the rate he's going this season, there's a chance he'll break it before the playoffs start, like early April. If he sticks to his like career scoring rate, I think that it probably pushes into next season, but. I mean, he just keeps piling them on. I mean, even when you think he's gone dry, then all of a sudden the goals pop up again, and now we're under 20 away from him breaking the Gretzky record. So I predicted before the season he'd get it this year, and I'll stick with that. I'm optimistic that Ovi puts this thing to bed before the playoffs start.
Do you think people are as excited about this as they should be, or because there's just so much going on and sports and in the world that people aren't paying as close attention to it like maybe they should?
I think your second point's the more important one, which is that the attention span of the average sports fan is so limited. I mean, think about how much lack of buzz there is versus other seasons for the Super Bowl. And it's not just because it's a thing we've already seen before, and it's not Chiefs fatigue. It's because the Luka Doncic trade happened. And so that becomes a thing that sucks all the oxygen out of the room for a few days. And then, you follow it with the Butler thing. And so, like, the NBA is in the zeitgeist for a week at a time when you normally be talking about the Super Bowl. But, come Saturday or Sunday morning, like, no one's talking about the NBA. So, I mean, it's a very short attention span sports economy. And I think 17 away is too far. When you get 10 away, maybe it increases. When you get 5 away, now everybody's paying attention. And I do think that ultimately you come back to what I've always said about hockey, which is that there are very few things about hockey that resonate with the casual sports fan. One of them is the Stanley Cup, and another one is Wayne Gretzky. And so the idea that Gretzky's record could fall to Ovechkin, who, by the way, I think a lot of casual sports fans know the name, is probably going to resonate and probably make this a real crossover cultural moment for the NHL.
Greg, I have a story for your little call. I'm here in a few weeks. Chase and I are flying with the Predators to Chicago today. So this will be the start of their massive win streak. So when you pin this column, when they make the playoffs, you can see it all started on February the 6th when 2 boneheads were asked to travel with the Predators to Chicago. So just put that little notes column to the side, all right?
Have you guys been on the plane before?
I have. I don't think Joe has.
I've
traveled with them for the playoffs.
To the surprise of no one, they don't let me on any plane with anybody of importance. Because they know I'll be over in the corner scribbling around, who's winning at the poker game. But you got to let me know how that is as a first timer, because I've always been intrigued. I assume it's just a bunch of people sleeping and playing, like Nintendo Switch now, because that's the era of athlete that we're in. But I'm intrigued to see what happens. But again, like, I'm all for it, man. At last glance on Statsleets this morning, the Preds have a 0.6% chance of making the playoffs, which I'm not a mathematician, but doesn't seem good. So
Right.
we need to put the pedal down. We need to get them going. We need to make this thing interesting because time is running short.
Well, I will tell you, I used to travel with the Titans charter plane, and they would play a game called Dropping Dollars, but they used $100 bills, and they came by asking me if I wanted to play. So I got nervous, and I was like, I don't know what to do. But so that was my only experience of being on a professional charter, is like, just shut your mouth and stay out of the way.
Yeah, that's got real. We're all going to the best club in New York and ordering bottles energy, and you're just like, on the one hand, I'd love to go to the best club in New York. On the other hand, $10,000 for a bottle of Stoli. I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't seem right.
It's something, that is for sure. Greg, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk next week.
Anytime. Thanks.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN senior NHL writer, joining us here on the program. Always appreciate him. Presented by Old National Bank. Get old.
I got a stat for you when we come back.
Okay.
That if you're a Titans fan, it's going to drive you absolutely insane.
Oh, boy. And we'll also check in with Jared from Radio Row at the bottom of the hour. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game here on this Thursday. We are live at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes, which is where we are, our home away from home every Thursday. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan tonight. Vanderbilt women's basketball in action. They'll take on Texas at 8 o'clock, pregame at 7:45. You can also listen on the GameNashville.com app. And Vandy women's basketball presented by Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball coming to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium. It started yesterday through March 2nd. Go to auprobasketball.com for more details and to purchase tickets.
Sorry,
You
I
have a
was
stat.
laughing. You don't. I'm the one that makes all the mistakes. So when you make one, I have to giggle. So I
What did I do?
apologize. You had your audio on your computer
Oh, I
on.
did, yeah.
That's usually me doing that. So this stat that I came, somebody put it out there, and I'm like, I need to double check this. AJ Brown
Arthur won.
has more Super Bowl appearances than Traylon Burks has TD catches.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Burks has one in his career. Yeah.
We're never gonna get over what happened on that December day.
Yeah.
Or that April
Now,
day,
look.
and then what happened in December.
I don't think anybody knew that it was going to be
November.
this bad.
Right.
Like, I mean, you know, expecting it because they were like, oh, he's built like AJ Brown. Yeah, he's going to be very similar, all that. But like, you know, realistically, you know, he wasn't going to be AJ Brown. But like, the dude can't stay on the field. We had the asthma stuff. You know, it's just like,
It's something.
holy cow.
It's truly mind blowing. And somebody said recently to me, was like, well, all you Titans fans need to get past that. It's over and done with. Yeah, it is over and done with, but it happened.
Yeah.
And you got to go
It's
back
kind
to
of hard to get past when,
AJ Brown and Derrick Henry on the same team in their prime.
yeah.
You go back to the 21 season, AJ and Derrick Henry in their prime. I know Derrick got hurt that year, but still, man, I mean, you
Yeah.
had some pieces here that were legendary. And now you hear AJ going to the second Super Bowl. Burks is probably not going to be back. I mean,
Yeah, they got to cut him, right?
they had 3 years now. Why would you keep him around?
Yeah, there's no point.
I mean,
I'd cut
there's
him.
no with that at all. It's just, again, man, you look at defining moments in Nashville sports history that I'm not saying it's number one. I think going to the Super Bowl and then a run to the Stanley Cup or 1-2, but that's got to be 3, right? I mean, it's got to be.
I would think so.
I mean, you throw
Yeah.
the Music City Miracle up there somewhere, but this trade continues to just stab deeper
Yeah.
and deeper and deeper. It's terrible.
But I mean, eventually you just gotta. I mean, you gotta move on the best you can.
Are you rooting for him on Sunday to win a Super Bowl?
The Eagles.
AJ Brown.
Yeah, probably. I'd probably prefer the Eagles to win. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, I'm gonna watch.
I know,
don't-
but for
I
AJ
don't-
Brown, I mean, would you be happy
Yeah.
if he gets a Super Bowl?
Yeah. I would.
Man, where were you that night that trade happened? I know we've talked about that. But
I will tell you exactly where I was. I was at the now I'm blanking on the name of it. We were doing our draft show, the Third and Home that backs up to First Horizon
okay,
Park.
right?
We're doing our draft show, and I think the Predators were playing, so we were having to do a stream only kind of thing. And you know, that was a bad draft, but the 16 was approach, or the not 16, but the Titans, wherever they were picking, maybe it was 16, was approaching. And all of a sudden, I look at Twitter, and Schefter's tweeting, the Titans are trading AJ Brown. And I'm like, what? And then my phone starts blowing up. Robbie texts me, like everybody's texting me. So I look at Jared. Jared's calm. And I'm like, Jared hasn't seen this yet. And so it was Jared, Derek, Chris, and Tehran. Tehran hadn't seen it either. They're all kind of talking. And I look at Jared and I like motion him over. He takes the headset off and I go, they just traded AJ to the Eagles. And he says something that you can't say on the radio. And he's like, you're kidding me, right? Like he's like, you're messing with me. And I go, no. And I show it to him. And he like puts a headset on, and one of them's mid-sentence. He goes, guys, we got breaking news. And that was all that
was
about.
it.
Yep.
For me, it was watching, and I wasn't paying attention. I know they were coming up, and I saw the video. after, and I saw Vrabel's reaction. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And you see Rebel's reaction, like, oh my Lord.
Yeah.
And I talked to Mike Keith about that because he was on the other down the station, down the dial, and they were like, they told him, he's like, no, you're kidding.
Yeah.
That nobody believed this. Nobody did.
I just remember, I think it was Jared that asked the question, and Robinson said, I don't foresee trading AJ Brown. And we all got fixated on foresee. It's like, wait, what does that mean? Does that mean he could? And then we know that he did. And then, it's like, and then it was like, well, did he lie? And I go, no, he didn't lie. He said foresee. That if he said, no, I'm not going to trade AJ Brown, and then he does it, that's a lie. I don't foresee means I don't plan on it, but I could.
Yeah. You're right. I wonder if they just give him his deal, what the 22 season would have ended up like. Because they were competitive. The Titans were competitive in 22. They led the division before the meltdown.
Was that when Derek got hurt?
He got hurt in 21.
21.
He had the Liz Taylor foot injury.
Yeah, that's right. Man, it's a great question.
Right?
I don't know.
I think he would have been happy. He'd have been the player, and then everybody else would have rallied. And because they were a competitive football team in 2020. That's why this massive fall is kind of mind-numbing. It's like, what the hell, man? And so now you start back up, and you were there. You were so close. And now you got a long way to go to get back to that point.
What is the perception of the Titans down in New Orleans? We'll check in with our good friend Jared Stillman, who is live on Radio Row. We'll get his thoughts on that coming up next. Next, Dunkin' fans come experience the new age of Dunkin' at the grand opening of their newly remodeled Brentwood location at 4930 Thoroughbred Lane tomorrow morning. Dunkin' will be giving away 100 days of free coffee to the first 100 guests in line starting at 8 o'clock. Plus, Robbie and Rexroad will be broadcasting live from 6 to 9. We'll have a Preds ticket giveaway. Jared up next, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This week, Stillman and Company is broadcasting live and providing live updates from New Orleans on Radio Row, leading up to the big game presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, Family Leisure, Shane Company, Volunteer Hose and Gasket, 312 Pizza, and the new Cumberland.com. We say hello now to Jared, who he might be, nodding his head to this song. Little One Direction, bring us back. Jared, how is Radio Row?
Oh, it's fabulous. It's just fabulous here in beautiful New Orleans. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say other than that. There's a lot of people here today. The thing that's crazy is like the current players, that do interviews and stuff like that. Like, I can't recognize any of these guys. I'm like, there will be like a player walking around. I'm like, I have no idea who this is. Like, I have no idea. Like, if you're not on the Titans, I don't know who you are. Like, without like you're wearing your jersey. I think that they should have current players and maybe even former players wear their jersey when they walk around here, so we have an idea of who some of these people are.
Were you anywhere near the setup that Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson have? Because apparently Chad and James Harrison got into it yesterday, which was pretty funny.
Okay, so I have no idea what you're talking about in that regard, but last night Caroline and I ended up at the Club Shay Shay party.
Okay.
And that is Shannon Sharpe's podcast. It's called Club Shay Shay. And we ended up at the Club Shay Shay party. And it was basically every big-time NFL player that was featured on an NFL video game on the N64 was at the Club Shay Shay party. So, like, Marshall Faulk, Tim Brown, Warren Moon, who will be on our show today. Just the most, like, random stars of like the early 2000s and the late 90s were at the Club Shay Shay. We walked in, Michael Irvin's right there. Like, I mean, it was honestly, I mean, like, again, if you grew up in the 2000s like I did, every single important player with the exception of Jerome Bettis for whatever reason was there. So yes, it was that I couldn't tell you about. What happened between Ocho Cinco was there last night. What happened between Ocho Cinco and James Harrison, I have no idea about. There's always some weird manufactured Super Bowl drama every year. And some years I'm involved in it. Some years I guess I'm not.
What is the perception of the Titans down there when you talk to people?
I mean, do we want this like in the nice way or do we want this in like the
I want the
real,
I want the honest truth.
Everybody here thinks Amy's stupid. I mean, that's really the problem. Is it's like, now, look, I'm going on Boston radio later today, and I've talked to everyone here who thinks there's this sentiment that Mike Vrabel's the greatest coach who ever lived, and that the Titans are the stupidest franchise in the history of the NFL for getting rid of Mike Vrabel. And look, they may be the dumbest franchise in the history of the NFL for getting rid of Mike Vrabel. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but that is what a lot of people think. So, again, I think that some of the outside influence, or the outside opinion of Mike Vrabel is a little warped. Like, I think it's a little inaccurate. I mean, I think Vrabel's a good coach. I certainly don't think Vrabel is an irreplaceable coach. I say this because I think everybody, to me, when Amy flew off the handle was when she fired John Robinson in the middle of the season. But that didn't seem to bother people as much as firing Vrabel. And then after firing Vrabel, they got worse. So it's like, how could that owner fire Mike Vrabel and then have a worse team and then fire her general manager who she hired, who she picked over Vrabel? And so, again, the sentiment, I don't want to say around the league, because most of the people at Radio Row are kind of the people outside of the league who cover it. But the perception of the Titans is they're a terrible franchise that can't get out of their way, led by their incompetent owner. And again, like, I mean, I like Amy. I do. And I think Amy, by not going to the Borgonzi press conference, was kind of making a statement along the lines of, hey, I'm out of it now. Like, I fired Rand and I put Chad in charge, but that's it for me. I'm out because I've been making horrible decisions. I mean, so maybe even she realizes it a little bit, but I do think that the sentiment here, and we've talked about this, like last year, everybody thought the Titans were going to be terrible, and everybody locally was not our station, but, well, not my show and this show, but everybody, was kind of like, oh, the Titans, they spent all this money, they're going to be so good, and everybody else is like, nah, they're bad. And they were right. And so the sentiment here is that the Titans are incompetent, led by the owner, and I mean, I would love for them to be wrong, but again, you asked what people are saying. That's what people are saying.
Jared Stillman joins us from Radio Row, and literally as we're having this conversation, we just added yet another sponsor, Cedar Direct, build with character, as Jared continues his coverage from New Orleans.
Jared, is Amy there? Because are the owners go to this or no?
So the owners are invited to the Super Bowl. I believe that the suites in the stadium are given to the owners. So I believe that they take 16 suites and cut them in half. So like the Titans and the Ravens, have a suite that the owners can share if they want to go. Now, is she here? I have no idea. And again, unless Amy was at the Shannon Sharp party last night, I'm not sure that I would be. Amy's not coming on Radio Row. That I think I can tell you. But I do believe that the owners are invited, to the Super Bowl. And I'm sure there are some very high-end NFL events that the owners go to. But as far as like my knowledge of what Amy's doing, I just like a regular Tuesday in I have no idea what Amy's doing.
All right. So Chase and I talked about this earlier about going to the SEC and the Radio Row there. Do people come by to say, hey, can you get so-and-so on? Have you told anybody no? Like, we're good. Move on.
I mean, the amount of freaking nobodies that come up and are like, if somebody comes up to the table and is like pitching a guest, like there is a 99.9% chance that like, I'm not going to want to have this person on. And it's not like, you're probably thinking like, oh, snobby Jared Stillman just turning away everybody. It's not that. It's like, hey, would you like to talk to this guy who was once on the David Letterman show 15 years ago? No. Like, no. I'm not putting like current NFL players on because I don't think that they'd be interested. Like, again, unless you're on the Titans, like, who do I want to talk to? Like, yeah, would I turn down Sam Darnold? Like, if he was, of course not. But
Myles Garrett.
I mean, like we had the opportunity to have, like Kayvon Thibodeau and Christian Gonzalez and some of these. I'm like, no, we don't want those guys on there. So when you're like, hey, I have the president of the Wheelchair Football Academy that would like to come. No. I had this one guy a couple years ago in Phoenix that like, it was some turf company. And he was like, oh yeah, you got to talk to this guy. And I'm like, no. And he like, I gave him my card to like leave me alone. And he like emails me regularly being like, would you like to have so-and-so on to talk about field turf? No, I don't want to talk about field turf with these people. I mean, it's but to answer your question, Joe, there's like 12 of those a day. Some guy came up to me yesterday while I was on the air to pitch me some guy to talk about helmets. I'm like, I don't care. Nobody in Nashville cares about freaking helmets.
Jared, if you could have booked the turf down Robbie and Rex Road, I'd have given you $50.
You know what I should do is I should do something like, yeah, we've got Tom Brady coming on with Robbie and Joe tomorrow. And then it'd be like the helmet guy. Talking about the new aerodynamic, lightweight helmets that, you brought up SEC Media Days. And I think I can tell this story because, we're all friends here. Chase, as somebody who's in charge of my vacation time, Chase will tell you that I am pretty cognizant of taking off the week of SEC Media Days. And I've done SEC Media Days like 10 times or whatever. And a couple of years ago, I went on vacation with my family. And Caroline was at SEC Media Days. And a buddy of mine calls me and goes, hey, when are Media Days over? And I was like, I don't know, I think the end of the week. And I tuned in and they were like talking about Missouri football with some guest. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this. The next year, SEC Media Days are in Nashville. And of course, we're doing the shows all at SEC Media Days. And the Titans signed DeAndre Hopkins. And I'm on the boat the day before the Monday of SEC Media Days. And I'm like, I told Caroline that day, I was like, I'm going to do all DeAndre Hopkins talk because I do not think a single person in the car cares about like the SEC Media Days kind of SEC stuff. So Greg McElroy sits down. I look at him. I said, we're going to talk about DeAndre to the Titans. He says, cool. Sits down. We talk about it or whatever. I mean, there is nothing that I find more painful than SEC Media Days radio that is like, so how's Mississippi State going to be this year? Or Super Bowl Radio Row talk about the action. Like nobody in Nashville's driving around right now being like, who does Mad Dog Russo have in the big game? But so we're just like, everybody that's come on, it's like, what should they do with the number one pick? Do these quarterbacks suck? And the answer in almost every case is yes, they think these quarterbacks suck.
There's one interview. There's a guy down there that I would love for you to have on the radio because I know you would bust his tail. Pac-Man Jones is down there. I would love to sit with him. And I'm telling you, man, I would just launch into just a tirade of questions about what the hell, man. I would love to see you talk to Pac-Man.
So I had Pac-Man on 2 years ago here at the Super Bowl. I actually like Pac-Man. You have to remember, I was like 14 when Pac-Man was Pac-Man. So I didn't cover Joe, I'm sure you were like, you remember, getting the news wires and like going down to the strip clubs to interview people after Pac-Man caused a bunch of problems. I don't remember it like that. I mean, I remember that Pac-Man was always getting in trouble, but we had him on 2 years ago. And, some people just understand a way to my heart. So when Pac-Man came on talking about how Floyd Reese saved his career, it turned more into a friendly interview than it did a grilling.
I get it.
Jared Stillman.
Which is pretty crazy, by the way, too, because I think a lot of people, know the story that it's not that Floyd didn't want to draft Pac-Man, but that was a Jeff Fisher guided pick. And that when all was said and done, it was Floyd who called Marvin Lewis to give Pac-Man another chance when Jeff Fisher, kind of wiped his hands with Pac-Man, even though he was kind of the driving force behind them acquiring Pac-Man.
When do you go on? It's the Felger and Maz show that you're going on, right? When do you go on this afternoon?
I don't know.
Okay.
We're working through that. But
okay.
I've decided that if I do that show while we're on the air during the Stillman and Company hours, because their show is an hour earlier than ours because they're Eastern time. If it's before 2 o'clock, if it's after 2 o'clock, then what we will do is we will just run their stream live.
Okay, there you go. I like it. I know that's a big deal for you. Jared, you've done a great job this week. Enjoy the next couple of days, and we'll see you when you get back.
All right, guys, we got a loaded show today. We're going to be sitting down. Warren Moon will be on the show today. Daryl Moose Johnston will be on the show today. Chaser,
nice.
I know you love Moose. Michelle Beadle will be on the show today. Rich Gannon should be on the show either today or tomorrow. And I do want to say this, and I think you guys will enjoy this. About, 2 years ago, I got really into Howard Stern, right? And what I loved about Howard Stern was Howard will interview these random celebrities that normally I wouldn't care about or you guys wouldn't care about, but he just does it in a way where he asks the questions that people really care about. And not just you're pitching this product. Now let's only ask nice questions or whatever. We have Kurt Schilling coming on the show. And I'm just going to tell people we taped the interview because it was around his schedule. It was one of the more fun interviews I think I've done, like more insightful, interesting. Like I have a different outlook after having this conversation, which I'm very excited that we'll run at some point either today or tomorrow.
Looking forward to that for sure. Jared, appreciate it.
Guys, take care of yourselves.
Jared's coverage on Radio Row in New Orleans, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, Family Leisure, Shane Company, Volunteer Hose and Gasket, 312 Pizza, Cedar Direct, and the new Cumberland.com. We'll come back with What Day Is It? And celebrity birthdays here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. 1025, 1063 The Game. It's Chase and Big Joe here on this Thursday at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes, our show presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel as well. Tune in at 93.3 FM, Totally Hits, Totally Nashville, as MTSU takes on Jacksonville State. Tip off at 6 with a pregame at 5:30. Coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. We're about to head to Chicago. Joe and I will be doing our show live from Chicago tomorrow as we travel with the Nashville Predators as they get ready to take on the Chicago Blackhawks. You'll have another chance at Pick to Click tomorrow with Robbie and Rexroad. All you have to do is guess a Preds goal scorer, and if they put the puck in the back of the net, you will win. Be listening for your cue to call during Robbie and Rexroad tomorrow. With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays, which is brought to you by Jarrett Companies, Inc., above and beyond industry standards. Commercial plumbing and HVAC, all form of HVAC units, commercial refrigeration, grease trap cleaning, all of that. Just visit them at jarrettcompaniesinc.com.
All right, gentlemen, we have a short list today, one that I will be skipping because it's
Nope.
Nope, Joe, I can't.
Nope.
I
That's part of the
can't.
game, brother. That's the job you signed up for. Read it.
Chase.
I hear the tone in his voice, and I'm going to say no.
Thank you. We also have Lame Duck Day to start it off. So if you have a lame duck, go grab one. Let's see, National Chopstick Day. So if you like good old cuisine that way, use chopsticks. National Frozen Yogurt Day. Love some good frozen yogurt. Froyo. National Sweater Day, celebrated in Canada. So our friends up north. Pay a Compliment Day. So if you want a compliment, you can just give one for free, but people pay for them. And to wrap it up, we have
a great job.
Ronald Reagan Day. That's what we do, wrapping it up with Ronald Reagan.
Oh. Ronald Wilson Reagan. All right, time for celebrity birthdays. You got to get these within 2. Our first birthday, Axl Rose. How old is Axl Rose?
Axl Rose, 60.
64.
63. Dr. Crane's on top 1-0. Rick Astley. How old is Rick Astley? Never gonna give you up.
Well done. 59.
62.
59 exactly. Chases up 2-1. Amy Robach. She was the on Good Morning America news, like one of the announcers, reporters, and then she got fired for having an affair with her coworker.
I now see why Dr. Crane did not read the first one.
Oh no!
Oh boy. I'm sorry. Who are we talking?
Amy Robach.
Amy Robach. 64.
67.
52.
Okay.
All right. Now you got me want to know what that word is. We'll just skip on past it because I've got I can't do that and do this here too as well. But there's a lot of people I've never heard of today. All right, actress Mamie Van Doren. Mamie Van Doren.
74.
70.
94.
Okay.
Actor Mike Farrell, who was on MASH.
81.
80.
86. Singer Fabian, not Fabio, Fabian, singer.
48.
42.
82. Actress Kathy Najimy. She's a voice on King of the Hill. She was in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
57.
63.
68. The drummer of Toto, Simon Phillips.
63.
65.
68. Let's see here. Country singer Richie McDonald of Lone Star.
57.
55.
63. Chases up 2-1. Man, this is really bad. Also, it's Babe Ruth's birthday. All right, a few more. Former punter, quarterback from Ohio State, played for the Browns. Tom Tupa. Tom Tupa.
62.
58.
59. We're tied at 2. Former TSU basketball player, played in the NBA for a while. Carlos Rogers.
59.
55.
54. Dr. Crane's up 3-2. We got 2 left. False start Fred Miller. How old is former Titan left tackle or right tackle, whatever, Fred Miller, who jumped off sides 6 times versus Javon Curse in 1999?
54.
58.
52. We're tied at 3. Last birthday. I love this. Former Alabama quarterback Brody Croyle had a little cup of coffee in the National Football League. Brody
Yeah.
Croyle with the Chiefs, I think.
He was with the Chiefs. 44.
49.
At the buzzer, Chase McCabe wins 4-3. Well done. He's 42 years old.
Thank you very much. That is
Well
going to do
done,
it,
man.
from us. We'll talk to you from Chicago.
Hey, again, to our guys out there, we love you. If you're struggling on your cell phone, please talk to someone. If you're going through anything, please, 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 you can dial or text 988. Somebody's always there to talk to you. And I would tell you all the time, man, your journey is a beautiful journey. There might be dark clouds, there might be rocky roads, but it's your journey, and it's a beautiful journey. And know that if something happened to you, you'd be tremendously missed. I'm telling you right now, tremendously missed. That's why I want you to know that you are tremendously loved, not only by us, but God loves you. So have a good day, guys.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. D-Mace, Vingan, Donick coming up next. 102.5, 106.3.